Our walk today starts in Fernworthy Forest and is loosely based on the blue route you see on the map. Once through the forest, we're out onto the open moor, but due to the boggy nature of the terrain and the lack of clear pathways, we amended the route, ending up at Kestor Rock, before turning and heading back over the moor to Fernworthy, a distance of approximately 8.5 miles. The way through the forest is initially tarmac road, changing to compacted stones and gravel, wide access pathways. It would have made our walk a good mile shorter if we'd parked a little further along the road. There are several parking areas to choose from.
Yeah, you got some nice stuff.
At this time of year, the route through the forest is lined with foxgloves, hundreds of them.
Oh yeah, you're probably right.
Our first call was at Fernworthy Circle, or Froggy Meat Circle, as it's sometimes called. This fine Bronze Age circle of 27 granite slabs and blocks stands in a clearing on a plateau of land within the Forestry Commission's plantation. The picture on the right was taken in 1907, looking northwest. What a complete change of scenery. Filming on these walks has its drawbacks. The rest of the group has to wait around while I catch up.
That's the right way?
Yeah, I think so.
Right, there was like a gap through, but then it's not a track. It could be, it might not be.
The pathways through the forest are pretty easy to navigate, although they may not be quite in the places that are indicated on the map. As much as the exercise, walking is also about the social aspect, and some of the subjects discussed seem quite trivial, but that's just part of the overall reason we all like walking.
And knowing the trees, which is very welcome from being burned by the sun.
Out through a gate in front of us, and we're on the open moor. This route was given to us by another person, and although we followed it for quite a while, on reflection it would have been better to stay on this side of the North Teign River, as the pathways seem a lot easier to follow and look less boggy in nature. The Clapper Bridge across the river is very obvious in its locality, but once over the river, the paths disappear very quickly, unless you're heading towards Hanging Stone Hill.
Nice Clapper Bridge here.
The source of the North Teign Head, lies in between Black Hill and Quintin's Man, about 2.5 kilometres distance.
What, and they've come out of it?
Initially, the track we found was okay. Well defined and easy to follow. But after a fairly short distance, it petered out, and we were left in tufted grass and high bracken, not at all easy to walk on.
Are we losing it here? Another group.
We decided to go back down the hillside towards the river and picked up another track following a wall, which again eventually petered out. The Dartmoor ponies here have taken on the same look as the terrain, with their shaggy, tufty coats. This side of the river is difficult to negotiate. However, walkers on the other side of the river seem to have it a lot easier. It may be difficult terrain here and boggy beside the river, but the scenery is fantastic. Very rugged but beautiful at the same time. With the good visibility, the views towards Cosden Hill are quite spectacular. We moved back up the hillside again and found another pathway heading in the right direction. The valley here between Manga Hill and Stone Tor Hill isn't easy walking, but the landscape is stunning, especially on a day like today.
We continue along this path here. It doesn't look very good. It's the only one we got.
Are you wanting to go on holiday with him?
The track at this height is a lot better, but still difficult.
This is quite hard, Kate.
And heads through numerous boggy areas, which made walking very slow. Due to the type of terrain, the walk was taking a lot longer than we expected. So it was time to make a decision. Just ahead there was a relatively easy way to cross the river, and it would reduce the length of the walk slightly, so we took it. It's never easy walking on steeply sloping ground, but we're making for a set of handrails that people are using to cross the river. I'm hoping it won't be too difficult. We have one very interested watcher. Leslie and Keith were soon across, although I did give Keith a little help. Alison and Joan took a little longer, but made it in the end after initially starting on the wrong side. There were a few hidden holes, and Alison managed to find one. But she was okay. Again, I gave them a little helping hand.
Step down on the stones, lad.
But there were a few choice words and gestures from Joan regarding me filming, which I can't show or repeat. The terrain here is certainly a lot easier and at the moment flatter and firmer, although this may change.
Oh, this is like a tractor track. Yeah.
We're heading in an arc that will clip the North Teign River again, but not cross it, following at least at the moment fairly well defined pathways.
Where? That's
Alison
Kestor Rock.
is pointing out a lone tree that is on the horizon and sticks out like a sore thumb, but I didn't catch it. Generally speaking, this area is known as Shovel Down and is covered in small ancient settlements and field systems. In places, some of them are quite obscured by the high tufty grass. But I did catch Kestor Rock, which was now firmly within our sight, and it was a case of following the best defined tracks to reach it.
Hang on, guys.
Reaching the North Teign River again, and the terrain changed back to boggy stretches of pathway and less defined tracks. There were some quite difficult boggy areas to cross, but nothing we couldn't handle. And the adjacent river was pleasing to the eye, but you had to concentrate on what you were doing. It's a very picturesque little local area of the North Teign River. Eventually we got through it, and after a lengthy walk across open, tufted moorland, we picked up a main track again.
People over there on the horizon.
Yeah, that's the path we should be on.
Is it? Boggy again.
I love walking in shorts at this time of the year, but the ticks can be a real nuisance. Just got to keep checking for them.
Totally open moorland. We're now on our way to Kestor Rock, so hopefully we'll have some lunch there. We found a better pathway now.
We've now rejoined our original route, and the track to Kestor is fairly straightforward.
Going up to Kestor Rock, as we'll see shortly. And there it is.
In previous centuries, some early antiquarians believed that this tor was the central focus for druidical ceremonies. This made Kestor a honeypot for curious Victorian visitors who were in search of the ages of the moor.
Kestor Rock.
In 1888, the Ordnance Survey map indicates Kestor Rock, which changed to Kestor and then Kestor Rock. On the top of it is a rock basin which was originally surrounded by railings to stop animals falling into it. They were removed in the 1950s. Like most tors on Dartmoor, it is an impressive structure. From our point of view, this was a great place to have a well-earned lunch. Following lunch, we headed back towards Fernworthy Forest, making for the long stone and also hoping to find the three boys' standing stone. Fernworthy Tor is on our left-hand side and is also part of an ancient settlement. The Sheveldon Longstone, to give it its full title, was quite easy to find. This 3.1 metre high lump of granite is associated with a double stone row and is part of the Sheveldon complex. Unfortunately, we didn't find the Three Boys standing stone, as it was not in the position indicated on the OIS map. I've put in the SX reference for it, and it is relatively close to the Shoveldon Long stone. The stone in question seems to have been part of a number of larger stones at the end of a stone row.
It's taken it out of me today, this one, but not to worry. Just got a couple miles to go, and then we're through.
The track back to Fernworthy Forest is well defined, and you really can't go too far wrong.
Badger's holes?
I'm fairly sure this is part of a badger set.
Yeah, some of this will be a bit rubbishy.
Thornworthy Tor again. Notice the balancing boulder on the horizon, a feature of this tour.
Well, on the last third of the walk, I think. It won't be long before we're back at the car. And quite a torturous journey home after that.
Quite an extensive amount of tree felling has recently taken place, and parts of the forest are really looking very bare. What is left after the timber is removed looks very scruffy, but I expect more trees and plants will soon be growing, and it will look very different.
No, you go straight to Liverton.
Sunlight through parts of the forest can just catch the trees and make them stand out above the others.
Look at that. Yeah. The light's shining through,
that,
Bill.
Bill?
Other times, it's the shade that makes the picture. These wide gravel access roads are mainly for the Forestry Commission, but they serve for the walkers as well. We covered this ground this morning and we'll be back at the cars shortly. This walk to me has been over some parts of the moor I haven't visited before, although I've been to Fernworthy Forest many times. The only downside is that the journey from Chagford to the reservoir is along very narrow lanes. Thanks for watching.
Oh, I don't think I'll bother.
No, just to walk down to the water's edge. You want to go down?
I don't think we can. Oh, it's quite a ways, you know.